In your medicine cabinet right now, next to the aspirin and bandages, could be a silent saboteur, a Trojan horse disguised as a vessel of health and longevity. It's the supplement you take every morning with a glass of water, the one you conscientiously selected from the dizzying array of options at the health food store or online. The one you believe with every fiber of your being is fortifying your bones, boosting your flagging energy, or helping you finally manage the stubborn weight that has crept on with the passing years. You are, by all accounts, doing everything right. You are following the advice you've gleaned from reputable-looking websites, from charismatic doctors on television programs, and from well-meaning friends who swear by their own regimens. You are being proactive about your health as you navigate the complexities of aging, refusing to sit idly by as your body changes. But what if that admirable diligence, that commendable commitment to self-care, is inadvertently leading you down a profoundly dangerous path? What if the very capsule you trust to protect your most vital organ, your heart, is actually working insidiously against it, day by day, dose by dose? This is not some rare freak occurrence, a one-in-a-million cautionary tale. It is, I can assure you from the front lines of clinical practice, a hidden epidemic of good intentions gone horribly, tragically wrong, and I bear witness to its devastating consequences in the lives of my patients every single week. It is a quiet crisis unfolding in bathrooms and kitchens across the country, fueled by misinformation and the powerful universal desire to remain healthy and independent for as long as possible. The unvarnished and often shocking truth is that many of the most popular and heavily marketed dietary supplements aimed at the senior population are not just ineffective, offering little more than a powerful placebo effect and a drain on your finances. They can be actively and demonstrably harmful, particularly for the unique physiology of a body over the age of 60. People, in their sincere quest for wellness, watch a few compelling videos on social media, read a handful of persuasive articles, and proceed to buy a collection of bottles, assembling a daily routine that, at its absolute best, is a monumental waste of money, and at its worst, quietly and systematically undermines their cardiovascular health, setting the stage for future crises. In the following detailed explorations, we will unmask 5 of these common culprits, peeling back the layers of slick marketing to reveal the sometimes unsettling science beneath. But this journey is not intended to be a litany of fear or a simple list of what to avoid. For every single risky supplement we identify, there exists a smarter, safer, and profoundly more effective alternative, one that is often backed by more robust scientific evidence and a deeper understanding of human biology. We will not only expose the hidden dangers lurking in plain sight, but also illuminate the better, more intelligent path forward, providing you with actionable strategies to truly support your health. And be absolutely certain to read this comprehensive guide until the very end, because we will reveal the single biggest, most pervasive mistake that the vast majority of seniors make with their supplement regimen. A mistake so common and so seemingly innocent that you may not even realize for a moment that you're making it. Fixing this one fundamental error can change everything, transforming a haphazard and potentially risky collection of pills into a targeted, effective strategy for a long and vibrant life. Unbeknownst the calcium paradox, strong bones, weak heart? For several decades, calcium was the undisputed, universally acclaimed king of supplements for aging well, its reputation seemingly as solid as the bones it promised to build. It was presented as the very bedrock of skeletal health, a non-negotiable daily ritual for anyone over the age of 60, and it was practically prescribed as a default measure to women after menopause to fend off the terrifying specter of osteoporotic fractures. Esteemed physicians recommended it without hesitation. Vast grocery store chains and pharmacies gave it prime, eye-level shelf space, and tens of millions of people dutifully swallowed their daily pill without a single second thought, secure in the belief they were making a wise investment in their future mobility and independence. However, in more recent years, a powerful and growing wave of rigorous scientific evidence has begun to turn this long-held dogma on its head, revealing a much darker, more complex, and frankly dangerous side to this seemingly benevolent mineral. While it remains true that a specific subset of individuals with diagnosed deficiencies or particular medical conditions still require calcium supplementation under the close guidance of a knowledgeable physician, the cumulative weight of the science now strongly suggests that for the average, otherwise healthy older adult, that daily calcium pill might be doing far more harm than good, significantly raising the risk for something far more immediately life-threatening than brittle bones, a cardiovascular event. It's a classic case of a well-intentioned intervention having unforeseen and serious consequences, a medical paradigm shift that is still slowly trickling down from research journals to the general public. Consider the detailed story of Joan, a vibrant and remarkably healthy 68-year-old woman who embodied the ideal of active retirement. She was meticulous about her diet, enjoyed long walks with her dog every day, and was, by all outward appearances, the very picture of vitality. Following a routine checkup, her well-meaning primary care doctor advised her to start taking a 1,000 milligram calcium supplement daily as a preventative measure to protect her bone density. On the surface, nothing seemed amiss. She felt fine and continued her healthy lifestyle. Yet, when we later performed advanced cardiovascular scans as part of a comprehensive wellness evaluation, we discovered something deeply alarming. The plaque in her coronary arteries, which had been minimal and stable for years, had progressed significantly in a relatively short period. Furthermore, her blood markers for systemic inflammation, such as high-sensitivity C-reactive protein, were noticeably elevated. Nothing else in her life, her diet, her exercise routine, or her stress levels had changed in any meaningful way, except for this one new daily habit. This is the very crux of the calcium paradox. Calcium derived from a concentrated, rapidly absorbed pill behaves in a dramatically different and more dangerous way within the body compared to calcium obtained from food sources. When you consume calcium from leafy greens like kale, dairy products like yogurt, or calcium-rich fish like sardines, it is absorbed slowly and gradually, working in a complex and beautiful harmony with a whole symphony of other essential nutrients like magnesium, phosphorus, and vitamin K. But when a highly concentrated bolus dose from a supplement hits your bloodstream all at once, especially in an older adult whose metabolic systems may be less resilient, it can cause a rapid, unnatural spike in serum calcium levels. This sudden flood of mineral can overwhelm the body's regulatory systems and lead to a dangerous phenomenon known as vascular calcification, where the excess calcium gets deposited not in your bones, but in the soft tissues of your body, particularly your artery walls, hardening them like old brittle pipes. This process directly impairs blood vessel function, increases blood pressure, and can even elevate your risk of forming life-threatening blood clots. This alarming connection is not merely a theoretical concern or an isolated clinical observation. It is a consistent pattern that has been observed in multiple large-scale, well-designed scientific studies. A major nationwide study published in 2022 out of South Korea, which meticulously followed over 11,000 osteoporosis patients, delivered a particularly stark warning. The researchers found that those patients who took calcium supplements without also taking vitamin D had a staggering 54% higher risk of experiencing a major cardiovascular event, a category which included a nearly double rate of non-fatal heart attacks when compared to a similar group of patients who took no supplements at all. This finding underscores the critical importance of nutrient synergy. An even earlier landmark meta-analysis published in the prestigious British Medical Journal, which rigorously reviewed the combined data from 15 randomized clinical trials encompassing over 12,000 participants, found a statistically significant 27% higher risk of heart attack in those individuals taking calcium supplements compared to those taking a placebo. The risk associated with untargeted calcium supplementation is not just a minor footnote on a package insert. It is a consistent, troubling, and statistically powerful signal that this popular shortcut to bone health might, for many, lead directly to a cardiovascular dead end. The very thing people are taking to prevent a fall-related fracture could be increasing their risk of a fatal heart attack, a tragic irony that demands a fundamental rethinking of our approach to bone health in the aging population. The solution, however, is not to abandon the pursuit of calcium altogether, as your bones absolutely still need this vital mineral to maintain their density and strength. The crucial difference lies in how you get it, and, just as importantly, what you pair it with. The key is to shift from a strategy of supplementation to a strategy of smart nutrition and targeted synergistic support. Interestingly, the same South Korean study that highlighted the dangers of solo calcium supplementation found that when calcium was taken in conjunction with vitamin D, the increased cardiovascular risk completely vanished. Vitamin D acts as a master regulator for calcium metabolism, enhancing its absorption from the gut, and crucially, helping the body maintain stable levels in the bloodstream, preventing the dangerous post-pill spike. But to truly ensure that the calcium you consume goes precisely where it is needed, your skeleton, and critically stays out of your arteries and other soft tissues, another nutrient is absolutely essential: vitamin K2. Often confused with vitamin K1, which is primarily involved in blood clotting, vitamin K2 plays a completely different and vital role. It activates key proteins, most notably matrix GLA protein, MGP, that function like biological traffic cops, actively shuttling calcium out of the soft tissues and blood vessels and directing it into the bone matrix where it belongs. For my patients like Joan, we completely reorient their strategy. We cease the high-dose calcium pills and instead prioritize obtaining calcium from whole food sources like almonds, tofu, canned salmon with bones, and dark leafy greens. We then supplement smartly and strategically with vitamin D3, often starting around 5,000 IU daily and adjusting the dose based on regular blood level testing, and vitamin K2, typically in the MK7 form at a dose of around 400 micrograms daily. This intelligent combination provides the body with all the necessary tools it needs to protect both the skeleton and the cardiovascular system simultaneously, proving definitively that strong bones do not have to come at the dire expense of a healthy, flexible, and resilient heart. The dangerous shortcut: why natural fat burners can break your heart. George, a sharp-witted 66-year-old retired engineer with a mind accustomed to logic and precision, found himself increasingly frustrated. He was diligently eating what he believed to be a clean diet, avoiding processed foods and sugar, and he had committed to a brisk daily walk. But the numbers on the bathroom scale refused to budge, and his energy levels were perpetually in the basement. Like so many others in his position, feeling like he had hit a wall with conventional methods, he turned to the vast and often unregulated marketplace of the internet for a solution. It was there he found what seemed like a miracle in a bottle: a natural fat burner supplement promising to effortlessly melt away stubborn fat and supercharge his metabolism. The label was a masterpiece of marketing, filled with impressive-sounding, science-adjacent terms and a long list of ingredients like green tea extract, caffeine anhydrous, and most notably bitter orange extract. Believing it to be a safe and gentle boost, he started taking it as directed. He took it for just 4 days. On the morning of the 5th day, he noticed his resting heart rate, normally a calm and steady rhythm in the low 60s, had shot into the high 90s, even while he was sitting still. He started waking up in the middle of the night with terrifying, violent heart palpitations, the feeling of his heart flip-flopping in his chest. One evening, feeling dizzy, lightheaded, and profoundly short of breath, his wife rushed him to the emergency room. The doctors there ruled out an acute heart attack, but after an extensive workup, he left the hospital with a new and life-altering diagnosis: paroxysmal atrial fibrillation, a serious heart arrhythmia that significantly increases the risk of stroke. The only thing that had changed in his meticulously ordered life was that one seemingly innocuous, natural pill. George's frightening story is tragically far from unique. It is a narrative that plays out in emergency rooms and cardiology clinics with alarming regularity. Fat-burning supplements are marketed with a carefully crafted aura of safety and wholesomeness. Because the ingredients are natural and derived from plants, consumers are led to assume they are gentler and less risky than prescription medications. The harsh reality is that these supplements are often unregulated, untested cocktails of powerful stimulants, and they affect the cardiovascular system of a 60 or 70-year-old body very differently and far more dangerously than that of a 30-year-old. Many of these products contain potent compounds, like synephrine, a chemical cousin of the infamous and now banned stimulant ephedra. The FDA banned ephedra back in 2004 after it was definitively linked to hundreds of adverse events, including heart attacks, strokes, and deaths. In a classic bait and switch, many supplement manufacturers quietly replaced ephedra with synephrine, which is often derived from bitter orange extract, Citrus aurantium, allowing them to keep the dramatic marketing promises alive while doing little to mitigate the underlying cardiovascular risk. Synephrine acts on the body's adrenergic receptors, part of the fight or flight system, jacking up heart rate, constricting blood vessels, and increasing blood pressure. When this potent stimulant is combined with the high, often undisclosed, doses of caffeine that many of these products also contain, the stimulant effect is dangerously and unpredictably amplified. This chemical combination puts immense and sustained pressure on the heart and blood vessels, a risk that can be absolutely catastrophic in aging arteries that may already have some degree of stiffness or silent underlying plaque buildup. It's like flooring the accelerator on a classic car with old tires and worn-out brakes. The scientific and medical literature is replete with warnings and case reports documenting the dangers of these products. A comprehensive 2023 review article published in the journal Cardiovascular Toxicology examined a multitude of case reports of otherwise healthy individuals who developed serious heart complications, including severe chest pain, life-threatening arrhythmias, and even ischemic strokes after using synephrine-containing supplements, often at the manufacturer's recommended dose. Other popular fat-burning ingredients have been linked to a frightening condition known as Takotsubo, cardiomyopathy, often called broken heart syndrome, where the heart's main pumping chamber, the left ventricle, suddenly weakens and balloons out in response to extreme stress, mimicking a massive heart attack. These products do not gently support your body's natural metabolic processes. They flog your heart, whipping it into a state of overdrive and pushing an already potentially stressed system past its physiological breaking point. They are not a solution to age-related weight gain. They are a high-stakes gamble with your cardiovascular health, where the potential jackpot is minimal and the potential losses are catastrophic. The promise of a quick fix is a siren song that can lead directly to irreversible cardiac damage. The good news is that there exists a vastly superior, safer, and more sustainable way to support healthy fat loss and metabolic function in your later years. Instead of relying on risky, short-term stimulants that stress the heart, the focus should be on building and maintaining the body's primary fat-burning and metabolic engine, your skeletal muscle. Muscle tissue is not just for strength, lifting, and locomotion. It is a critical metabolic organ that acts as a massive reservoir for glucose, burning it for energy, and dramatically improving your body's insulin sensitivity. Maintaining or increasing muscle mass is your single greatest defense against the metabolic decline that often accompanies aging. One of the most effective, safest, and well-researched tools for supporting muscle growth and function, especially in older adults, is creatine monohydrate. As we age, our bodies face a phenomenon called anabolic resistance, which means our muscles don't respond as robustly to exercise and don't grow and repair as efficiently as they once did. Creatine helps overcome this resistance by providing muscles with the high energy currency they need, adenosine triphosphate, ATP, allowing them to perform more work during training and recover more effectively afterwards. Unlike stimulant-based fat burners, creatine is exceptionally safe, with decades of rigorous scientific research backing its use in a wide range of populations. It does not raise your heart rate or blood pressure, and in fact, has shown potential neuroprotective and cognitive benefits as well. When one of my patients asks me for the best fat burner on the market, my answer is never a pill or a powder. It's a commitment to strength, supported by intelligent nutrition and proven, safe tools like creatine. The prescription is simple and powerful. Start with a daily maintenance dose of 3 to 5 grams of creatine monohydrate. Incorporate some form of resistance training into your routine 2 to 3 times a week, and ensure you are consuming adequate protein to provide the building blocks for new muscle. This is the path that builds lasting health, metabolic resilience, and true vitality, not the one that promises a dangerous and illusory quick fix in a capsule. The hidden hazards in a healthy shake. Linda, a thoughtful and kind 71-year-old, was navigating one of the most difficult periods of her life. Recently widowed after nearly 5 decades of marriage, she found her appetite had completely vanished, and the simple act of cooking a meal for one felt like an insurmountable emotional and physical chore. Overwhelmed by grief and loneliness and searching for an easy solution to ensure she was getting some form of proper nutrition, she landed on a very popular and heavily advertised meal replacement shake. It seemed like the perfect answer to her problems: a complete healthy meal in a convenient glass, promising sustained energy, essential protein, and even help with weight control. Convinced she was doing something wonderful and proactive for her health during a challenging time, she began drinking it twice a day, every single day for several months. It became her go-to breakfast and lunch. But when we ran her routine blood work at her next checkup, the results were nothing short of devastating. Her liver enzymes, specifically ALT and AST, which are key markers of liver cell damage, were through the roof, soaring into the thousands when they should have been under 40. This was a clear and urgent signal of severe liver distress, a condition known as acute hepatitis. But the damage wasn't isolated to her liver. Her cholesterol profile had worsened significantly, her markers of systemic inflammation had climbed to alarming levels, and her resting heart rate was chronically elevated. The only substantial change in her daily routine was the introduction of the shake. The moment we had her stop consuming it, her numbers began a slow but steady return to normal over the following weeks, a clear indication that the healthy shake was the toxic culprit. Linda's case shines a harsh and necessary spotlight on the dark underbelly of the multi-billion-dollar meal replacement industry, particularly concerning brands like Herbalife, which was the specific shake she had been consuming. These products are ubiquitous, promoted through aggressive multi-level marketing schemes and adorned with colorful labels and bold, unsubstantiated health claims. A cursory glance at the ingredient list might seem reassuring, boasting things like soy protein isolate, dietary fiber, a long list of botanical extracts, and a full spectrum of vitamins and minerals. But what is actually contained in each scoop is often a highly processed synthetic formula of isolated proteins stripped of their natural cofactors, cheap fillers, artificial sweeteners, and, most troublingly, proprietary blends of herbs that hide their true composition and concentration from the consumer. Day after day, replacing real, whole, nutrient-dense food with this processed powder places an immense and unnatural metabolic burden on the body's primary detoxification organ, the liver. It's not a coincidence that dozens of clinical case reports, published in peer-reviewed medical journals from all over the world, have now established a clear link between these types of products and acute liver injury, with cases ranging from mild inflammation and elevated enzymes to full-blown, life-threatening liver failure requiring hospitalization and, in some cases, a transplant. The exact toxic agent is often impossible to pinpoint due to the complex, rotating, and frequently undisclosed nature of the ingredients in these proprietary blends, leaving both consumers and their doctors completely in the dark. This is not just a story about liver health, it is fundamentally a story about heart health. The liver and the heart are deeply and metabolically intertwined, engaged in a constant biochemical conversation. When the liver becomes inflamed, overloaded, and dysfunctional, it triggers a devastating cascade of negative downstream effects that directly impact the cardiovascular system. Systemic inflammation rises throughout the body, acting as a powerful accelerant for the buildup of atherosclerotic plaque in the arteries. The liver's ability to manage fats and cholesterol breaks down, a condition known as dyslipidemia, leading to higher levels of dangerous triglycerides and lower levels of protective good HDL cholesterol. Insulin resistance, a key driver of metabolic syndrome and prediabetes, worsens as the liver struggles to process glucose properly. In essence, the very meal replacement shakes that are aggressively marketed to improve weight control and cardiometabolic health can end up directly causing or exacerbating the exact conditions they claim to prevent. They represent a betrayal of the consumer's trust, packaging a collection of potentially harmful, low-quality ingredients under the guise of convenient, modern nutrition. The alternative to this dangerous path is both profoundly simple and deeply effective. Prioritize real food in its whole, unprocessed form and supplement wisely and sparingly only when a specific identified need arises. Nutrient-dense foods like leafy greens, colorful vegetables, legumes, fatty fish like salmon, pastured eggs, and high-quality meats offer nutrition in its most natural, bioavailable, and synergistic form, complete with the fiber, phytonutrients, enzymes, and antioxidant cofactors that no processed powder can ever hope to replicate. When supplementation is genuinely necessary to fill a specific nutritional gap or to achieve a therapeutic effect, one of the most well-studied, safest, and most beneficial supplements for both heart and liver health is high-quality omega-3 fatty acids, specifically the marine-derived forms eicosapentaenoic acid, EPA, and docosahexaenoic acid, DHA. The scientific data supporting their use is vast and compelling. At therapeutic doses, omega-3s have been shown to reliably lower high triglycerides by as much as 25 to 30%, significantly reduce systemic inflammation, improve the flexibility and function of your arteries, and help stabilize heart rhythms, reducing the risk of arrhythmias. The landmark Reduce It clinical trial, a major cardiovascular outcome study, showed that a pure, high-dose prescription form of EPA reduced the risk of major cardiovascular events like heart attack and stroke by an incredible 25% in high-risk patients who were already on statin therapy. For the liver, omega-3s have been demonstrated to reduce the fat content and improve liver enzyme levels in individuals with non-alcoholic fatty liver disease, NAFLD, the very condition that processed shakes can provoke. For my patients, I recommend a high-quality, third-party tested omega-3 supplement to ensure purity and potency, aiming for at least 1 gram of combined EPA and DHA daily for general health, and considering higher doses under medical supervision for specific therapeutic goals. True health and vitality do not come from a slickly marketed canister sold through a pyramid scheme. They come from the foundational wisdom of real food and the targeted, evidence-based support of smart supplementation. The irony of iron. When a vital mineral becomes a threat. Ron was a 74-year-old retired mechanical engineer, the kind of meticulous, detail-oriented man who would arrive at his appointments with a color-coded spreadsheet of his lab results and a list of well-researched questions. For several months, he'd been feeling distinctly off, a deep, chronic tiredness that sleep didn't seem to touch, a frustrating heaviness in his legs when he climbed the stairs, and a disquieting shortness of breath during his usual walks. He had even noticed that he was bruising easily in odd places on his arms and legs. Figuring it was a simple case of age-related deficiency, he did what seemed eminently logical to his engineering mind. He went to the pharmacy, purchased 3 large bottles of high-dose iron supplements, and planned to hit his system hard for a few weeks to top up his tanks and get his energy back. It was a rational response to a perceived problem. When we later ran his comprehensive lab panels, however, the story took a completely unexpected and dangerous turn. His ferritin level, a key indicator of the body's total iron stores, was over 300 ng/ml, far above the optimal range. His iron saturation was also alarmingly high, indicating that there was an excess of free-floating, unbound iron in his bloodstream. Critically, his markers for vascular inflammation and oxidative stress were also significantly elevated. His body wasn't run down from a lack of iron, it was profoundly stressed from a dangerous excess of it. The culprit was not a disease, but the very pills he had so logically chosen as the cure. Iron is, without question, absolutely essential for life. It is the central atom in the heme molecule of hemoglobin, responsible for carrying life-giving oxygen in our blood from our lungs to every tissue in our body. It is also a vital component for our cellular powerhouses, the mitochondria, to produce the energy currency of ATP. Every single cell in our body depends on a steady supply of iron to function, but iron is a classic double-edged sword. While essential in the right amounts, it becomes a potent and destructive pro-oxidant when present in excess. Think of what happens to a piece of iron when it is left out in the rain and exposed to the elements. It rusts. A very similar destructive process of oxidation occurs inside the body, where excess unbound iron acts as a catalyst, generating massive amounts of free radicals. These highly reactive molecules wreak havoc on our delicate biological structures, damaging the fragile endothelial lining of our arteries, oxidizing our LDL cholesterol, a critical step in the formation of atherosclerotic plaque, and silently fueling the chronic low-grade inflammation that is the root cause of so many age-related diseases. This is not a theoretical concept. The long-term Bruneck study, a prospective population study that followed over 800 men and women for 5 years, found that individuals with higher ferritin levels had a significantly greater progression of plaque buildup in their carotid arteries, a key predictor of future stroke and heart attack risk. Numerous other studies from around the world have echoed these findings, consistently linking high iron stores to higher levels of inflammation, lower levels of protective good HDL cholesterol, and increased insulin resistance, all major drivers of cardiovascular disease. The profound danger lies in the common practice of self-prescribing iron supplements without proper testing and diagnosis. For most older adults, particularly men and postmenopausal women who no longer lose iron regularly through menstruation, a true iron deficiency is actually quite rare. When their iron levels do drop to a clinically low level, it is almost always a red flag for a more serious underlying problem that needs to be investigated, such as hidden gastrointestinal bleeding from an ulcer or colon cancer, celiac disease, or chronic kidney disease, critical issues that cannot and will not be fixed by simply taking an over-the-counter pill. Yet countless people experiencing the common and non-specific symptom of generalized fatigue, which is far more often caused by poor sleep, a nutrient-poor diet, chronic stress, or age-related muscle loss, sarcopenia. Incorrectly assume they are anemic and start taking high-dose iron supplements they absolutely do not need. Quietly, month after month, the excess iron bypasses the body's tight regulatory controls and begins to accumulate in vital organs like the liver, the pancreas, the heart, and even the brain, causing slow, steady, and insidious oxidative damage that can take years to manifest as overt disease. So, if the pervasive fatigue so many older adults experience is not due to low iron, what is the more likely cause? In a great many cases, the root problem is mitochondrial. Our mitochondria are the tiny engines inside our cells that are responsible for creating over 90% of the energy our body uses. As we age, and especially if we take certain common medications like statins for cholesterol management, the number and functional efficiency of these cellular engines can significantly decline. This is where a supplement like coenzyme Q10, CoQ10, can make a real evidence-based difference. CoQ10 is a critical vitamin-like substance that is an essential cofactor in the mitochondrial electron transport chain, the very process that generates ATP. By replenishing the body's levels of CoQ10, which naturally decline with age and statin use, we can directly support cellular energy production, reduce the burden of oxidative stress, and improve the function of the endothelium, the delicate lining of our blood vessels. One impressive clinical trial, the Q-Symbio study, which was a randomized, double-blind, multi-center trial, found that heart failure patients who supplemented with CoQ10 had a remarkable 43% reduction in cardiovascular mortality compared to those taking a placebo. While we must always view industry-funded studies with a degree of critical caution, the exceptional safety profile of CoQ10 is well established, and its fundamental biological role in energy production is undeniable. For my patient Ron, the engineer, the issue was never anemia. A proper investigation revealed his fatigue was caused by a combination of undiagnosed moderate sleep apnea and a common side effect of his statin medication. We treated those root causes, and his energy returned. The lesson is crystal clear. If you feel chronically run down, do not blindly reach for an iron pill. Reach for answers. Get tested. Work with a knowledgeable practitioner to investigate the true cause and intervene where it actually matters for your health. So bias, the unseen toxins, heavy metals in your health routine. Carol, a sharp and wonderfully engaged retired teacher in her early 70s, arrived at her annual appointment with a large, clear plastic bag full of her daily supplements, a testament to her commitment to her health. She was meticulous, even keeping a detailed spreadsheet of her vitamins, dosages, and timings, and she was genuinely perplexed. "Doc," she said, her voice tinged with frustration, "I feel like I'm doing everything right. I take magnesium for my blood pressure, a plant-based protein shake after my walks, a special greens powder, extra fiber, my calcium, a high-quality multivitamin. I've read all the books. Why do I feel so awful?" Her frustration was entirely valid. Despite her commendable efforts and significant financial investment, her blood pressure had been stubbornly creeping up over the past year. Her blood tests showed high levels of inflammation, and she was now experiencing nightly heart palpitations and a persistent low-grade fatigue that she couldn't shake. Her situation didn't make sense on the surface. We decided to run a lab panel that most people, and indeed most doctors, never think to check: a heavy metals test, which measures the levels of toxic elements like lead, mercury, arsenic, and cadmium in the blood. The results, when they came back, were shocking. Her lead level was high, well into the range associated with cardiovascular risk. Her cadmium level was borderline elevated, and her mercury was also higher than optimal. Carol was stunned into silence for a moment. "Where on earth could this have come from?" she asked, bewildered. "I don't eat a lot of big fish, and I haven't touched a cigarette in over 40 years. The source of her toxic burden, tragically and ironically, was sitting right there on the examination table, inside the very bag of health she had brought with her. The sobering and often ignored truth is that nobody takes lead or cadmium on purpose, but countless health-conscious individuals may be getting slow, steady microdoses of these and other poisons every single day from the very supplements they trust to protect their well-being. Independent laboratory tests conducted by non-profit watchdog groups like the Clean Label Project have repeatedly and alarmingly found dangerous levels of lead, arsenic, cadmium, and mercury in some of the most popular and best-selling supplements on the market. Plant-based protein powders have been shown to be among the worst offenders, especially chocolate-flavored varieties, as the cacao plant, like many other plants, can readily absorb and concentrate heavy metals from the soil and water in which it is grown. In one comprehensive analysis of top-selling protein powders, nearly half of the products tested exceeded the established safety limits for one or more heavy metals, with some highly regarded organic brands being among the most contaminated. A single scoop a day might not sound like much, but these toxic metals are not easily excreted. They are bioaccumulative, meaning that over months and years of daily consumption, they build up in the body's tissues, in the bones, the kidneys, the brain, and the cardiovascular system, exerting a slow poisonous effect.